Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EG.
Well, folks, welcome to our edition of Politics and Random. Egberto is your host. Thank you so kind of being part of the show. I am late. I am still trying to get all of the videos loaded. But you know what, folks? We're going to have a great show for you today. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all. Welcome aboard. Let's see. AVQ, El Señor Michael Rudnan from Brooklyn, New York. We have in the house El Señorita Joanne from Los Angeles, California. Ray, let's see. We have Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita. Henry Denson from Missouri City, Texas. Mary's in. Rex Byers in. I missed the first 50 or so on Substack. So if you want me to call you out, please give me your city and state, and I'll call you out. Give me your city and state in the chat on Substack. I'll call you out. C. Wallace, welcome aboard. All right, let me get all these videos loaded real quick, and then I can actually get started. That with the thing. Okay, are you guys loaded? Loaded. All right. How are you guys doing today? It's a crazy, crazy day. It's a crazy day, isn't it? But we are going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it in real time. Have you guys seen? I'm going to start with something light. How do you feel about your president? Do you lie from Cypress, Texas? Welcome aboard. Rod Jennings from Spring, Texas. CD38. Hey, you're talking about CD2 here, guy. CD2. In fact, I'm the chair for 758. Let's see. Lee Grant is in the house from Montgomery County. Thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you for being here. By the way, the telephone number is 281-823-7747. Anybody wants to call in to say their piece. Again, that number is 281. Let me put it in the chat. That is 281-823-7747. For the first timers, I have several numbers because in the morning when we are on air at KPFT 90.1 FM Houston every morning at 6, it has a different number than the afternoon. And the afternoon number is 281-823-7747. And I've placed it in both chats. 281-823-7747. All right. Got me a little shaving issue here. Let's see. Michael says, how do you feel about your president? I feel like Trump is going to get us all killed. We're living through the last few years where global warming is still in humanity's hands. And our president is a fossil capitalist climate denier. Seems to me like you're being pretty kind with the president, Mr. Rudnan. Welcome aboard, Linda Ferris. We have Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. He says, did the chief from Austin Fire Department get no confidence? I don't know. I wasn't following Austin politics. Maybe you should tell me that. G. Lee Grant says Trump has been nominated for a Nobel Prize by. Let's talk a little bit about that. How much weight does it take? How much weight do you think it has if you are nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by a war criminal, by a guy who kills innocent children on a daily basis? Today, he dropped another bomb in Palestine where he actually just blew several children apart. And by the way, that's who we are supporting. We are sending them bombs, right? And we are sending them bombs. And Netanyahu said, well, we think that guy that is among all those children there walking to that hospital, that guy may be a terrorist. Okay, send the bombers in. We blow everything up. Whatever happened to the sanctity of life? Whatever happened to that? So no, I don't think it makes any difference they would have to be crazy to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. All right, bring in my tour to New Orleans next week and off to New York for Broadway many weekends and the border Texas in August, yet I'm too afraid to go abroad. Let me tell you something. Do you lie? I think every American should be afraid to go abroad as well. I'm not saying not to go abroad, but I'm saying we have so maligned who we are, who most of us are, I should say, that going abroad is not a safe thing in many places. Let's see. Welcome, Anthony Lofranco from Laguna Beach, California. ¿Cómo estás? All right. Let's see what else. Michael says nominating Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize, who has bombed nations, killed thousands, and participated in an ongoing genocide. Yeah, that is in fact delusional. Anyway, Donald Trump. I mean, our president show. Oh, Tom Zarnik has a limerick. And if Tom Zarnik has a limerick, before I go any further, it is incumbent on me to read our poet laureate's limerick. Look, we're a family here at Politics Done Right, guys. And we have poets, we have writers, we have all kinds of folks that do a lot of stuff that's part of what we call the PDR Passe. It is the family of what we do here. So we have been waiting from a limerick from Tom for quite a while now. He finally got one out. Okay, Tom. I haven't read it, so I'm doing this from scratch, guys. I always do it from scratch without pre-reading it. So excuse any mistakes. It goes like this. What I think about our president. I think it's a title, right? What I think about our president. It's funny that I said that earlier and you came up with a limerick with that title. Here we go. Trump thinks as president, he's the best and no one's greater. Though he'd rather shred the Constitution and be a dictator. Instead of a dog or a cat for a pet, he'd prefer a snake or a gator to pass his big, bad, ugly bill that rips a hole in the safety net, gives massive tax cuts to the jet set, and explodes the national debt. He intimidated GOP reps on the Hill. Why negotiate when you can get the best results with a threat? Some say there's no way Trump's the greatest. Instead, they insist he's a racist, a rapist, and a sadist. To the stormtroopers of ICE, he's an inspiring hater, a loathsome leader with a heart of Darth Vader, a python and a predator. Who should be sent to prison as a convict? A long sentence given with the verdict. See you later, Dick Traitor. Hey, look, folks, whether you are in the chat or in Substack, let's give Tom Zarnik, our resident poet laureate, a big hand clap. I think there's a hand clap sign in those emojis as well. Tom, that was a great limerick. I think it was worth the wait, Tom. It was worth the wait. Again, folks, the telephone number is 281-823-7747. How smart is our president? How smart is our president? Look, when I went back in Panama, I'm originally from Panama, we had to learn the capitals of every country in the world. We had to learn what languages they spoke. We had to learn where the countries were. We had to learn the history of the major powers, United States. Then it was also the USSR, the United Soviet Republics. And we had to learn about China. We had to learn all these things back in school, right? Now, you would think that somebody who went to an Ivy League university, somebody who learned a bit of American history, somebody who is now the president of the United States, who have a cadre of people working for him, that he would at least, one, be prepared for the head of state that he's going to be speaking to. And not only that whether he got a briefing or not, there are certain basic things that all of us know. Apparently, not our president. Our president's ignorance, our president's lack of intelligence is a clear and present danger to us all. So let me go ahead and play for you what recently happened. And it's so cringeworthy, but check this out.
The West African country of Liberia was founded in part by freed American slaves in the 1800s, part of an effort to resettle Black Americans. So it makes sense that the country's official language is English, as it is in many other countries across the world. If you did not know that, you could be forgiven. You were not the leader of a country taking meetings with Liberian officials, but President Trump is.
Thank you. And such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?
Yes, sir.
In Liberia.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. That's beautiful English.
Sure.
I have people at this table can't speak nearly as well.
Eli and Paul are still with us. Eli, the discomfort at that table as he was speaking to the leader of Liberia and asking him where he was educated. I mean, you could feel it through the screen.
This will happen sometimes with President Donald Trump. And, this is not a guy who's going to read the briefing books or has ever shown a whole lot of curiosity about the world or those sorts of things. It's also, frankly, this is part of what the president's supporters have long said they like about him, is that he makes mistakes, his sort of regular guy energy that he brings to these meetings, whether that's the sort of the demeanor or the behavior that people, other people are traditionally used to seeing from the president. Maybe not, but Donald Trump's going to do it his way. He's not going to do a whole lot of homework. And, so you're going to have moments like we saw yesterday.
Yeah, listen, I think that's, the reporting is there. He doesn't read the briefing books. We know that about him. He probably didn't know that the official language was Liberian and made some assumptions as he was sitting at that table. But it just, Paul, it does reek of disrespect.
He is such an embarrassment every day, but especially on the national stage when the world is watching. The capital of Liberia is Monrovia because it's named after the American President Monroe. The flag even looks like our flag. This is really basic stuff that most American representatives of our nation know, or at least have the respect to learn before they speak to a group of people. And I just think it really underscores how much he's hurting the overall standing and character and integrity of America. There's some folks who are laughing at us. There's some folks who've just lost respect for us, but it's such an embarrassment. And I don't think we can just gloss past it as a flub or it's just how he is. This reflects poorly on our entire nation, and we should never normalize it.
And we should never normalize it. But let's talk about normalizing it. Let me show you the mentality of MAGA with some of our brothers and sisters. Well, not sisters, but brother in the house. Here is Eric Hayes' response. Biden has never, ever made an intellectual mistake like Trump just made there. That proves how dumb he is, right? And here's what Eric says. At least the orange guy knows where he is. There are some people that are immutable, and they are just as Donald Trump is a clear and present danger to the United States of America and to the world. The people who put him there. Wait, let me back up. The people who put him there, and after he has shown his colors, continue to support or defend him. They are just as bad, a clear and present danger to America. So to Mr. Hayes in our chat, I'd like to let you know that I consider you, and most of us listening right now should also consider you, my dear brother, a clear and present danger to this country. Because if you will continue to elect folks like that, it just means that we as a country are going downhill. That's all it means, that we are going to hell quickly. Welcome aboard, Alisar and Dreams from, I know where you're from. Don't worry. I just can't think about it right now. Billy Irwin, welcome. Carl Cox from Riverdale, Georgia. Summerwood. I got it. Summerwood. Susan Segura, welcome. Thank you very much for being here. Still I Rise says truth. Lady Historian, welcome aboard. Teresa Birch. Okay. Michael Radden says the assumption that someone from Africa can't speak English fluently is a form of racism. Trump says the president of Liberia, where English is the official language, speaks such good English. Trump made the remarks at the White House speaking with leaders of the several African nations. Many Liberians are the descendants of freed American slaves. In fact, they were the ones and still the ones that run the country. Now, interestingly, folks, right, I speak fluent English and Spanish. Normally, if you come from a Latin country, I imagine Donald Trump would say, "Oh, you speak very good English," right? How dumb. Doesn't he know, first of all, that people from all over the world speak very good English? In fact, he said something interesting. He said, "You speak English so well. Some of the people around this table that English is their native language can't even speak the language." Well, guess what? You must have had a mirror that you're looking through, because we don't see subject, verb, and predicate in your sentences. We don't, everything for you is an run on words, not even run on sentences, but run on words that generally lack any kind of cohesion. Alizarian Dream says, I guess Trump doesn't know about the Europeans colonizing Africa. Well, I don't know what the guy knows. I just know it's very little. Bridge MCP says something is seriously wrong with Eric. After all these years, he is just getting worse. Maybe he needs attention. So give him attention, right? Hey, you've got our attention, sir. Joanne says Trump couldn't say grassy posterior. I'll leave that alone. Lady Historian says it was so embarrassing that Trump said that. By the way, even in remote Russia, English is spoken well too. Again, I don't know. I don't know why. It's not dumbness. It's being self-unaware, according to Anthony LeFranco. No, Anthony, Anthony, you know, I love you, but I beg to differ. The guy isn't very smart. I mean, look, I can disagree with somebody and understand that they are very smart, but our president is not very smart, and his logic, and I don't look at it by even the way he speaks. I look at the logic that he used to come to conclusions, right? The logic that he uses severely lacking. Lisa Blair, welcome from Atlanta, Georgia. She says, not only does Trump not read in briefing, he is in the process. Let's see, Ray Brackens. Not only is he doing that, he is in the process of firing career diplomats who could brief him in person. Yeah, and you know what? I'm coming to you in a second, Ray. Guess what? He assigned a rather explosive blogger as the ambassador to, I think it's Thailand. Look it up, folks. Look it up. I sat down there and I said, do you know how disrespectful it is for you to send a right-wing blogger as the representative of the United States as ambassador? It is crazy. Anyway, come on in. Ray, what's going on, my dear brother?
Hey, brother. I was just about to break up a potential cat fight with my little feline.
Wait,
but
hold
I'm
on
good.
a second. Hold on. I want to correct a mistake that I made. Rachel Rosen, thank you so kindly. I tell you, I have the smartest listeners, the smartest audience. It is Malaysia that we sent the blogger to. All right, continue, Ray.
Yeah, you know, when I think about the people that are running the cabinet, you know, the so-called basket of deplorables that Hillary Clinton spoke of, that's them, all of them. Every single one of them in that cabinet is a deplorable SOB. And as far as Trump, Mr. Oh, you speak so well, you know, that reminds me of the old days when, see, it's basically that old racist mentality where you look at this dark chocolate brown man from one of those, you know, and keep in mind
countries.
Yes, going to that. You look at this nice, you know, chocolate dark brown man from one of those S-hole countries, and he's coming to you speaking in something that doesn't sound like an accent that, you know, makes him sound incoherent. It's like, oh my God, you speak so well. You're the exception. You're not the rule, you know, and that's why he asked what school, where were you educated? Because his ignorant butt can't fathom that a dark-skinned black man from a country he don't know crap about can speak English well enough. And that's what you used to hear from a lot of people when they had elected Obama. They like him because he speaks so well. He's a very articulate black man. And as a black man, I soaked that in as a compliment, but I started taking it as an insult because what are you saying? Black men are not articulate. We're supposed to be ignorant. We're supposed to be all jiving and saying, what up? You know, what it do, homie? I mean, I can code switch if I want, but that's not all I do. I could speak, you know, I'm fluent in politician and hood. That's my two languages. Your thoughts?
Let me tell you, it hurts, right? Because you get a whole lot of that. And while you were talking, I was trying to get to one of my there's a Substacker that I really enjoy. He has a Substack called The Beautiful Mess by John Pavlovich. Okay, I've had him, John Pavlovich. Anyone on Substack right now, the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is you want to follow somebody, check out The Beautiful Mess by John Pavlovich. And I sent him an email because he wrote an article today. He's a former pastor at a church, I think in North Carolina, and he left the church because of their racial attitudes, etc. And he wrote an article today titled America, let me put it on the screen because I contacted him. I want to have him on the show again. He wrote an article titled America is Losing Its Soul in Brown-Skinned Screams and White-Skinned Silence. And read that article. It's a damn good article. And I want him to read pieces of that article on our program. And let me tell you why. He's been on like 2 or 3 times before. And let me tell you why. Because I want to put it into something that you've just said. Most people are good people. Most people are good people, but most people are scared. When Donald Trump make racist comments, you have a lot of friends, a lot of your white friends or etc. will sit back and they'll be taken aback, but they remain quiet. You have a whole bunch of friends that you go together and somebody says something silly. Nobody exactly know what to say because, well, I don't want to break the mold. And that is what this article pretty much talks about. To our white brothers and sisters, you have to engage the game. You got to get into the game. Because Donald Trump thinks that you are with him. You are either with him or you are a pinko liberal that doesn't really matter, And the thing about it is there are conservatives that are not with him when he says and does these things, but they're quiet. And what we're saying, folks, everybody has got to speak up because we know, like I always say, Ray, and you hear me say it all the time. Sometimes you kind of get a little bit, Egberto, you too nice or whatever. But most people are good people, but most people are scared. Anyway, anything else, Ray, before I go to the other video?
Yeah, and I thank you for bringing again that you did have to go through a strenuous civics test before you had to be admitted as a
U.S. citizen,
as a resident of this country, a U.S. citizen. And I feel like, most jobs now, I had a struggle, but I'm on the upswing with that. Most jobs have a harder requirement, for credentials and education and all that. Why don't we, there needs to be a constitutional amendment that every president, who goes through has to at least be able to pass a basic civics vetting. I don't think that's outside of practical, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. But thank you, Ray, for your call as usual. A good man. We'll talk later. All right.
All right, for sure, brother.
Take care now. Absolutely. Anyway, folks, so Eric continues to Eric. I honestly think there's an issue here, but I am not qualified to talk about that issue. Michael then may be better at it. Anyway, folks, the tariff issue. The tariff issue, just like I said, too many people remain quiet. What we have now is a president. Rachel Rosen says we have to have skin in the game. No skin intended. Here you go, girl. All right. So again, when you see they bring out Mike Pence, and I think there are 2 reasons here. I think Mike Pence is running for president in 28. But even Mike Pence has decided that he's not going to play the quiet role anymore. He was really going to come out now and discuss this issue on tariff and the destruction that Donald Trump is causing with this tariff war that he's doing. But I want you to listen to how he says it, because he's saying it now quite a bit differently than he was saying it before. So let's go ahead and listen to a former vice president, the person Donald Trump really wanted MAGA to eliminate. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Donald Trump's new deadline for countries to make trade deals or face huge tariffs is now officially 3 weeks away from tomorrow. And tonight, he is threatening a new whopping 35% tariff on goods from Canada, one of America's top 3 trading partners. Canada the Great White North. And for those who are keeping score at home, thus far, the administration has published just 23 letters and announced 0 new trade deals. Today, he told NBC's Kristen Welker that he plans to impose blanket tariffs of 15 or 20% on all remaining countries. And his former vice president, Mike Pence, yes, Mike Pence is back. He is giving Trump's plans a major reality check, and he is saying it on the record. Watch this.
If we have a unilateral tariff of 10% on the American economy of all imported goods, that's 4 times the average tariff today. I saw Secretary Bessent speaking very glowingly about the projection is $300 billion in tariff revenue this year. Well, tariffs are a tax, and American importers and businesses and ultimately consumers pay almost all of that. And so literally a week after we managed to extend the Trump tax cuts and prevent a $2,000 tax increase on working families, the administration is right now boasting of the fact that the average American household is going to see about $3,000 increase in the cost of goods because we're paying that.
That is correct. And you know who knows that is correct? Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick.
Look, the evil within this program that Donald Trump has, where he's putting these tariffs on just in an irresponsible manner, right, is that he has really screwed the middle class and the working class and the poor. Because all the tax breaks that were given, that were permanent, went to the top. Capital gains, holding on to capital gains, holding on to the tax, the low tax rate for corporations, all the breaks for giving monies to private schools for vouchers that rich people use. All of that is permanent. Guess what's not permanent? Tax on tips, tax on overtime. It's not permanent, but it doesn't really matter, right? Because most people on tax, they don't get to take advantage of tax on tips. And you know why? Because they don't make more than the standard deduction, which means that they weren't paying taxes on tips anyway. But guess who pays taxes on tips? People at the high end that actually collect a whole bunch of tips in high-end restaurants, etc. You know who else? If I decide to have a business where I say, pay me this, but pay me the rest in tips, I can now take advantage of that tax break. No tax on tips. I can also qualify some of my work as overtime. And guess what? No tax on overtime. And that lasts until 2028. And then it goes away. I start to pay these taxes again. But the rich people, they continue to keep the tax break. Again, to my MAGA listeners, and I have quite a few of those as well, be aware that your Führer thinks you are a fool. He thinks you're a fool. And you know what? When we have somebody that always protects him like we have here, that is exactly, he may not be making a wrong choice. Now again, and I want to stress another thing that goes on with his tax bill, okay? Because people have to understand this. They have created so many loopholes for rich people. They have created, and one that irks me to death. And for you new listeners, you probably haven't heard this one. If you are a rich person that, let's say you have 1,000 shares of stock that went from $100 to $1,000, which means maybe you made an appreciation of, let's just say your appreciation was $100,000. Normally, you would have to pay about 20-something thousand of that in taxes. Not as much as a working person, but 20-something thousand dollars of that in taxes. Well, guess what you can do with this bill? With this bill, you can take the face value of those stocks, donate it to an SGO, a scholarship granting organization. They give scholarships to high schools, etc. You can give all of that stock, that $100,000, to that organization. And when you're doing your taxes, you write off. And remember, who has $100,000 in taxes they can write off? Rich people. When you get your tax bill, and let's say your tax bill is $120,000, you can say, whoops, I'll take off the government is going to give me back $100,000 because I donated my appreciated stock to that SGO. And guess what, people? The government gives me back that money and I can go buy that stock again if I want to. And it costs me zero. So it looks like I'm a good guy. I've donated $100,000 to an SGO. And then I get all that money back. And guess what the SGO does? The SGO then gives my daughter a scholarship to go to that school. So I don't only get back my money, but I send my daughter to school for free. Do you understand? Do you understand the cancer I shouldn't even say cancer. Do you understand the evil that these guys have to do to take food out of the mouths of of poor people, to take food out of the mouth of children, to take health care away from poor and middle class people, to kick grandma out of the nursing home? And how does that happen again? Let me tell you another thing that they did. All right, there was a time if you had a home and the home is worth $500,000, you could still get Medicaid for the nursing home. You need care, so you're in the nursing home. Guess what? Now they're requiring that you pre-qualify every year for Medicaid, or sometimes twice a year. And every time you qualify, you have to go through with all the qualification documents. So let's say your home that was $500,000 appreciates. It gets a little bit more expensive because, homes get evaluated at a higher price. So now, instead of your house worth $500,000, it is worth $550,000. When they evaluate whether you qualify for Medicaid, brothers and sisters, yet now they no longer pay for your nursing home. So that insurance that you bought, all of us pay for Medicare insurance, all of us pay social taxes, all of that because you have a home that costs too much. They kick you out of that nursing home, or you pay for that nursing home with money you ain't got. When I tell you the evil within this bill, and what my expectation is, my dear brothers and sisters, is that as you watch programs like this that actually not do what the MSNBCs and all, I put a lot of clips from MSNBC and CNN on here, but notice that we always have to give it more context. And why? Because they don't quite tell us all of this. I found this in using ChatGPT in the bill. Okay, we have to share this information. We have to make sure that everybody knows. And again, we're not going to get the sycophants to vote the right way under any circumstances. They have a mental problem. But you know what's a good thing about it? That isn't the majority of Americans. The majority of Americans, if they know, they'll vote their interests. And how do I know they'll vote their interests? I'll tell you a little story that many of you have heard, but the newcomers have never. I remember in 2008, I was telling folks all along, America wasn't ready to elect an Obama. And I started out, when I just started working in this for a candidate, I started working for Hillary Clinton as in the Texas area. But I don't remember what Bill did. But after Bill did it, I went ahead and jumped onto the Obama campaign. But I always jumped onto the Obama campaign thinking he didn't stand a chance in hell to win. And when he won the primary, I still didn't think he had a chance to win the election. I think it was after the primary. But let me tell you when I knew he was going to win. They were canvassing in Pennsylvania. I don't remember what town. And they went and they asked. I tell this story over and over again because it's such a prescient story. They went to this couple's home, white couple's home in Pennsylvania. And the canvasser from the Obama campaign said, "We're canvassing. Who are you voting for?" And the lady, I don't know why she thought she had to do it, but she turned to her husband, who was in the back, and said, "Honey, who are we voting for?" And the guy turned around and he said, "Let them know we are voting for the N guy." You know what? The N-word guy. And that one sentence told me a lot. That one sentence told me that the family was likely a racist family, but it also told me that their financial well-being superseded their racism. So they decided, no, we got to, honey, we got to look out for ourselves right now. So this time around, we got to vote for him. Let me give the contrast between Kamala Harris and President Trump. People like to create all kind of excuses why Trump won, right? Jesus they like to create reasons why Trump won, and they like to say, oh, it's the economy, or they'll say that she wasn't speaking to them, etc. I'll be blunt. Kamala lost. Part of the reason was the same reason that Hillary kind of lost, because, Hillary won the popular vote. But the same reason that Hillary couldn't win enough votes, that she's a woman. That's number one. But the second flaw was that she was black. And it's so hard for people to come out and say it because they take it as a self-reflection. It's not. But she lost the reason for that reason. And that's how you know the economy wasn't really bad. Because remember the first story that I told you. The people's economic situation was such that it had to supersede their prejudice. But when we had Kamala and Trump, people already knew who Trump was. People knew Trump was a misogynist. He was a philanderer. He was according to a judge, he was a rapist. They also knew that he was a thief. They also knew that he cheated. They also knew that he did all these bad things. They also knew that they knew all the bad things about Donald Trump. And they also knew the things about Kamala Harris. But let's take it one step further. When we remove a person from the policies, we did several experiments. Not we, the pollsters did. And they put Trump's policies in one hand and Kamala Harris's policies on the other. And Kamala Harris's policies won out Trump's policies not by a little bit, by a ton. When you just took the names off, and just put the policies they supported, Kamala's policies won by a landslide. Okay, now we put it back together with her name on it, and guess what the poll said? Same poll, they were just about even. Once you attach her name and his name, the numbers came up even. What is the only distinguishing factor there? Think about it. What's the distinguishing factor there? Now, so if the economy was bad, as they tried to imply under Biden, Kamala would have probably won, because they would have known, well, we can't take a chance on this charlatan again. But because things were okay, they could take the risk and not vote their political interests, their financial interests. And, there are these dynamics out there that the mainstream media won't tell you, or they're scared to articulate, because they're scared to make my white brothers and sisters, they think it's offensive to them. And I don't think it is. I think truth is never offensive when done from a position of love, when done from a position of honesty. And that's why I want to get Brother John Pavlovitz in. The email that I sent him, I said, man, as a white guy, I need you to come and tell us what you wrote. I need you, because coming out of you takes a lot less effort or a lot less convincing than coming out of me. And that's just reality, right? I'm not a delusional person. I always tell, I remember, I tell you a little joke here, and then I'll go on to the next video. I remember once I had a company. I've had several companies. I had a company. It's a music company where we were writing databases for band directors. So I can't remember what the name was, but we were going to a conference to, where you put up your booth and you display your product and that sort of thing. So my partner was a white guy, a band director. And when we went to the fair, I told him, you just be up front. And this was back in the early 2000s, I think, or the late 90s. I told him, you be the front person up front. I'll just stay back and whatever. And if they have questions or whatever, you can then ask me, because I did the software. He did like the marketing. And I said, then if you have questions, you just come and ask me. And, we all went to San Antonio to this conference, and my wife was there and his wife was there. And, we are partners, 50-50 partners in this deal. And, while he's talking to this school, he had some questions he couldn't answer. So he said, let me ask my programmer. That's me. And when he came and then he came asked the questions, and I answered the questions, etc. My wife was pissed because she said, what is this about his programmer? You are his partner. You guys are in this 50-50. Why are you doing that? and I said, let me tell you something. It's not about credit. It's not about, we are trying to sell a product. We are trying to get a product in the market. I am not here to make a stance on racism and on equal treatment of people and all of that. I have other platforms where I do that. At that point, I was blogging under progressive liberal. No, tolerant liberal was my name in the blogosphere in the blogosphere then. CompuServe and all those other places. I was a tolerant liberal. And that's where I could express myself without using my actual name. But the reason I did that was because we wanted to make $1. This was a business. And I understood that all these band directors coming from all over Texas were mostly white, and they would feel a lot more comfortable without me first having to make the case that, yes, guess what? I am a competent engineer. I don't want to go through all that BS. This guy had privilege. My partner had privilege. We used his privilege to move the product forward. A lot of people don't understand. That's the dynamics. That's the maturity that we have to do here in the United States. Schuster says, but they actually knew very little about Kamala. They believed what the Republicans said, that she was a communist. You can only believe that, PJ, if you are predisposed for some other reason to believe that. She was Biden's vice presidential candidate. Vice president. She also ran. She also has a record. And the record isn't hidden from anybody. People chose to create a reason that they felt to justify their prejudice. They created a reason to justify their prejudice. There are a lot of electricians in Rhode Island right now that are crying because Donald Trump's Doge has stopped paying for the solar panels that they're putting up in solar farms in Georgia. All of these electricians voted for Donald Trump. Donald Trump told them he was getting rid of green energy. He told them all the green projects were gone, and they voted for him. And now that they have lost their jobs, look, when I tell you, my brothers and sisters, and now I want to speak specifically to my white brothers and sisters, racism and prejudice hurts white people more than it hurts black people or Latinos or brown people or Asian. And let me tell you why. The reason why is those of us with color, those of us of all those other demographics, we have lived racism. We have lived prejudice, right? We know it. So when it happens again, it's not a shock. But when you have somebody like a Donald Trump who uses that prejudice to get you to do something against your own interests, they have used racism to actually hurt you. Think about it. I want all of you to think about it. All my MAGA brothers and sisters, and when I tell you I love everybody, I genuinely mean that, okay? That's why I do this. But when I tell you, when you take a look, I'm going to read your stuff in a minute. When I tell you, okay, this, MAGA has voted for their own demise. The people that most depend on Medicaid and those rural hospitals are Trump voters. When a rural hospital closes, it's a far distance for them to get to the city. Guess where most of the blue folk live? In the city. These hospitals aren't closing in the city. So the people that are going to have closed hospitals are MAGA. All right. Egberto, I want to say it again. Red hats have status grievance. They think their position in society has been diminished by minorities, feminism, wokeness, socialism, and whatever other boogie men their right-wing bubble comes up with. Red hats think Trump will hurt minorities and those who have been elevated by policies that promote a level playing field and they don't care how much it will hurt them if that feeling is satiated. But they'll feel it when they die. They'll feel it when their kids die. They'll feel it when mama dies. They'll feel it when my auntie dies. And that's why I keep saying racism is bad for all of us. But racism, not from an economic standpoint, but also from an economic standpoint, but it hurts the lower classes and the middle class of white people much more than it hurt the people that think racism is doing us something. Wow. Look, I have 2 more videos that I'm not going to get since I've went off onto this tangent. I'm going to give you, but I tell you what, I'm going to go process it tonight and put it up on the website along with this. I don't have enough time to play them. So I tell you what I'll do. If anybody wants to call in and comment, and I love to hear your commentary. I don't care who you are, whether you agree or disagree. Honestly, it's the engagement, it's a conversation that I love. It's a conversation that we should have. So give me a call at 281-823-7747. I got about 3 minutes that I can answer calls. 281-823-7747. I'm going to write it in the chat. 281-823-7747. Look, if you're new to the show, you understand that we have real talk here. And not only that, but we have humane kind of talk in here. Give me a call, 281-823-7747. We still have about 4 minutes that we can do some talking. But going back to the subject, I don't remember how we got on this subject. It wasn't part of the show today, but we got there. It is so important for all of us to realize that all the isms, and I repeat, all the isms are tools, okay? All the racism, the sexism, the homophobia, the xenophobia, all of those are tools of capitalism. Because the only reason an economic system can stay afloat that extracts from you, that abuses you, and you say, well, I am doing just fine. Really? Let me tell you, 60% of America is not doing just fine. Another 20% above the 60%, they're treading water, but they're doing just fine. And also at 10%, they're great. And it's a lot of those people that are great. But the 0.1%, my God, the kind of money, you guys don't have a clue what that kind of money really looks like. And all of that is really not theirs. Nobody can earn the money that the wealthy has. You can only steal the money that you wealthy have, albeit legally, but we have an economic system that makes it possible that if you're invited into this game to play this game, you can make all that money. Heather Olivier says, DJT created a reason to justify his prejudice. So as a nation, we're flogging ourselves. But glad to hear my MAGA has voted for their own demise. Yeah, they have. They have, and they will feel it. You know. Well, here's the thing, though, folks. Those of us that are progressives, we can't hold grudges. So we keep trying to win. We keep trying to win, and when we win, we correct the problem. When Bush II attempted to privatize Social Security, when he attempted to do all these things, progressives came. Well, Obama came into power and we turned a whole lot of that around and we reinstituted necessary social programs, including the Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. After the crap that Donald Trump did, we got Biden, and Biden became, and again, I'm not a super Biden supporter, but I can't argue this guy since Roosevelt, this guy has been the most progressive president, bar none, based on the policies that he passed. Look at all the green energy stuff that's been up. We need more, but he was. And now Donald Trump is cutting all of that. And all the jobs that came along with that, gone. Anyway, folks, I got to get out of here. So let me do what I do at the end of my programs, and that is ask you to please support the program however you can. And the way to do that is to become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. Our newsletter subsidizes all of our platforms, whether it be our TikTok, Instagram, Telegram, Twitch, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, our KPFT programming. It subsidizes it all. So right now we are short about, 500, and I think we're short about 555 people now that we need for paid subscribers. So if you have the wherewithal to do so, I know you would say, we'll get you a coffee. Please consider going to politicsdoneright.com, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, and please become a paid subscriber of our program. We do a lot. All paid subscribers get a few perks. Those perks include our all my books. I've written 5 books. All those books are online. All those books are online for you to read for our paid subscribers to read. You also get the personal show that we do for paid subscribers on the weekend. And we also have other perks that we give. I can't remember them all. But support and help me get some help to continue doing this work. We are making a difference. We are honest in what we do. We make sure to tell it like it is, and we make sure to do it respectfully and civilly to all. That's why, if you notice, we have MAGA that populates our chat as well. And they know I love them anyway. I'm trying to work with them, So the way that we're going to make a change is not just listening to the choir or talking to the choir. A lot of folks wonder, why don't I just throw all these guys out of here? No, I still love you guys. I'm going to keep trying to work with you. But we can't have 50+1 as a winning message. We have to have a mass movement to get this stuff done. So I do need to get some of our MAGA folks in the field. And I am getting some of the MAGA folks I have personal letters I could show you that says, my God, you made a difference. You changed me. And I've changed my family. So I'm telling you, your words as well. If you go to people with respect, it won't work all the time. That's why I wrote the book. It's going to scroll on the screen. That's why I wrote this book. How to talk to your right-wing relative friends and neighbors, above and beyond the other books that I wrote. So please consider becoming subscribers by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I'm going to put it in one more time again. And then I got to get out of here and I got to get to the gym. I'm behind this stuff 16 hours a day. I got to get an hour workout. Anyway, love you all. Politicsdoneright.com/newsletter to become paid subscribers. You can write me direct email to info@politicsdoneright.com. My mic just write me at info@politicsdoneright.com. info@politicsdoneright.com to contact me directly. And I do answer my emails. Sometimes I get a flood of them and I'm a bit late, but I answer all of my emails. Anyhow, folks, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what?
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.